You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AFTERBUZZ TV for MTV's Challenge Rivals. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Challenge Rivals news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AFTERBUZZ TV for MTV's Challenge Rivals.
Yo, what up, AfterBuzzers? It's your boy DJ Jesse Janedy, and we are here for Season 21, Episode 10, At the End of the World, MTV's Challenge Rivals. Oh my gosh. I need the steamer. I need you to call in because we have some...
The steamer is here.
Steamer, you're on the line.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh boy, I know you got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We actually have two very special guests with us, and we popped their Challenge Rivals cherries. We have former NFL player Keith Mitchell.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. And we have model Amy Lynn Grover. Did I say your name correctly?
Yeah, you did.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right, so before we get into the details, what were your thoughts on the show? Because you guys came in on literally the last episode. So for us, you know, we've been going through this experience, and this has kind of been one of the weaker challenges as far as the mini challenges that they've been doing throughout the season. But they gave us a very intense final challenge. What were your thoughts overall?
Oh, man, it really challenged them mentally. I mean, this was like a totally mental challenge. What do you think, Amy?
I was going to say that. It was all mental. I mean, it was physical, but, you know, to wrap your head around that is, you know, you got to get your head in the game. Otherwise, you know, it's over.
MTV stepped it up because literally, I mean, you know, Jenna actually said it best. This is more manual labor than it is a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of like lifting up rocks and dirt and shoveling. It was just keeping them up and seeing like how much stamina do you really have. Steamer, what were your thoughts overall in general before we get started? What did you think of the episode?
It was all right. I was disappointed by the actual result, but the challenge itself, I like when they make them do like these long ass challenges, make them work for their money. I mean, some of the stuff they're doing like this season, it was kind of weak. So it's nice to see them make up for it at the end, just make them go all out.
And what was the final prize? How much was it? $150,000 was it?
$100,000 for the winning team, $50,000 for second place, third place, absolutely nothing.
I mean, I don't want to be a complainer or anything, but all that for $100,000. I mean, you know, that's an amazing prize.
What else are these guys going to do for money? I mean,
$50,000
each of them. I mean,
they
do nothing. They go to bar gigs. So,
but I'm saying Survivor doesn't even have to do that, and don't they get $1 million?
Seems pretty rough over there.
Right.
Gotta pick and choose your shows wisely.
Exactly. All right, so before we get started, guys, you guys can subscribe to us and download us on iTunes. That is, you go to the iTunes store and just type in AFTERBUZZ TV MTV Challenge. We're right there. Just hit subscribe. We're free. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Take us on the go. Listen to us in the morning, evening, noon, night, whenever. Also, what other announcements do we have? Stitcher. It's an app for your phone. You can download AFTERBUZZ TV, STITCHER. And personal little plug, this Sunday, the VMAs. We're covering it. Lillian Garcia, DJ Behar, all your favorite hosts. So check us out for that. We're streaming live right after the show. So let's get into this. Now, they left us off. The guys were still canoeing their way to shore. Now, last week, Kenny and Wes, the two that were yelling at each other the most,
Right.
They get inside the canoe, and they actually jump in the canoe backwards. So they're paddling this entire way, and they can't figure out why they're screwing up, because they're backwards. Not only that, but just their heads are backwards in general because these two just cannot get it together. But they made it to shore first, which was really surprising. Johnny and Tyler came in second, and our boys Leroy and Mike, third place. They kept third place pretty strong this whole season, this whole challenge. That's who we personally were rooting for. Leroy's a good friend of AFTERBUZZ TV, so we were kind of hoping he was going to pull it together, but, you know. They're rookies. This is their first time.
They're both rookies?
They're both rookies. They literally just came off of the real world and did this challenge.
Oh, wow.
And actually, they're the only two who were friends. Really? Leroy started the challenge with his arch nemesis from the real world, but he's such a mess that he ended up actually getting in a fight was it the first night steamer or the second night?
Yeah, first or second, something around there.
Literally got in a fight, so he got kicked off the show. So they brought Leroy's actually best friend from the real world, Mike, as his teammate.
He's a very positive guy, by the way.
Leroy.
Yeah, Leroy. Leroy is very positive.
Very positive. Yeah. We're going to actually have him in studio next week, so definitely make sure you guys tune in for that. That's why we,
AFTERBUZZ TV exclusive.
Yes. No. That's actually why we, choose him as our favorite. We've never seen somebody come into the real world or these challenges and just have this positive attitude.
Yeah.
Never trying to fight anybody. If anyone comes to him, just all positivity. He's always thankful, respectful, and,
Not funny at all either. It's just genuine.
Yeah. He's probably the most genuine.
Yeah, I got that from him.
Even
I got that
his partner not wanting or not able to continue. He didn't lose it or freak out. He's like, I get it.
Which we saw the opposite tonight, but
definitely
we'll get to that. So Paul and Evelyn, the first thing that they come up to is pet rock, and basically they have these giant rocks tied to a chain, and you have to carry these things along with you for the whole challenge. Very cute on MTV's part, because usually they make them do puzzles, and there were no puzzles really involved in this other than setting up the campsite.
Right.
But usually it's mix matching or memory games and whatnot. I thought it was really clever of Mike and Leroy to break the pet rock,
right.
And kind of split up the weight, because we knew Mike wasn't going to be able to carry that thing up the hill. After that, they came along to the campsite, and they had to literally memorize every single thing. Detail.
That would have been tricky.
That would have been tricky right there.
I mean, after being dragged 300 yards by a motorboat, rowing 500 yards to shore in a canoe,
right.
running up to however far that was deep into it. Yeah, I mean.
Well, you're physically exhausted at that point, and then you have to put the mental of just the memory into that. So that's huge. And I mean, not knowing never been camping before, how to set up a tent. I mean,
true teamwork.
That is.
And then doing it with somebody that you absolutely hate on top of all that.
I mean, I've set up a tent before, and you're fighting with darkness basically at that time. So I can't even imagine trying to do it and remember how it was set up on the other one. I would have,
So when you went camping, have both of you guys been camping before?
I've never been camping.
I've been camping.
So when you went camping, did you know previously how to set up a tent? Because it's really difficult to set a tent up.
It's tricky. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother show. But I went camping. We were hiking and portaging, and at a certain hour you're done your day, and you have to set up the tent before the night falls, and you gotta do it quick because the bugs are biting you, and you're fighting light. So it's and then you're exhausted at that point too.
And now yours wasn't in a competition mode, right?
No, so mine was purely for fun. I don't know why I did that.
I don't think I would ever go camping after watching, this episode again. It doesn't really appeal to me anymore.
It doesn't appeal to me.
No.
It was fun to watch, though.
It was.
Very entertaining. They had to go back a few times. That would just be so annoying. To me, that was the most annoying part of the challenge. like to remember where the compass was open, or the straw was on the left side of the cup.
Or the way the tent pegs were.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
But you know that Laurel, she was all in it. Like she was detailed.
Yeah, they were holding her arms back.
Yeah.
Like I guess they couldn't
You
step
can't
in the
touch it,
box.
yep.
Yeah. So that was funny.
Well, Laurel is one of the better competitors in these challenges. There was a previous guy who we were actually rooting for. His name's CT. He is just a beast at these things, like roughneck. She's the female version of him. So we were kind of rooting for her team to win. They actually had to go back, and good job on Laurel's behalf. I kind of thought Kara was going to pull that one through, but hey, they got through it. Next, they had to come along to a box, which they had to dig the dirt, put it in a wheelbarrow, and then fill up another box. MTV's just really like, hey, how can we just screw these kids mentally, physically? Just pick up the dirt.
That would just be annoying.
I mean, everything in this challenge was more annoying than like actually phically
demanding.
Well,
there was demanding things involved, but that part just looked like.
We're just pointing the fingers at you.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Keith?
You kind of have. We taken the heat factor too. It probably was some heat in there too. The
Heat,
temperature.
and then as we see at night, the temperature drops. Yeah. I mean,
definitely wearing on the body.
Up until this point, Steve, what were your thoughts as far as what MTV was making them do challenge-wise?
It seems like pretty standard based on the last few challenges. Just the random tasks, like that have no meaning. Like, why do they need dirt in this box for? I mean, it's kind of silly, but it's just it's like a mental thing. Like you have to just keep doing it and doing it. So,
right. While they're doing this with the box, Wes decided to break his ball too, and then store the pieces in his socks.
I didn't get that.
I didn't get that either.
I didn't get that.
What was that about?
We have an issue with Wes because Wes picks on girls in the house. He considers himself a god. Literally on camera has told us that he is a Greek god, that people need to worship him because he's so amazing. He never loses in challenges, and he's just the boss. That's basically where Wes's mindset is. As we found out a couple weeks ago, Leroy called in, let us know that Wes really isn't like that until he's on camera. So that's my problem with Wes.
Oh, for sure.
Now here he is breaking this rock and putting it in his socks. You guys have a backpack. You guys have these jackets. Why aren't we utilizing those? Why are we filling your socks up and you're bleeding minutes with these in your socks? But he's okay. He's good. I don't know that.
Tough guy.
Yeah.
Tough guy.
Points to prove, right?
Points to prove.
So then they got to go through the marsh, just slowing them down even more. Wes and Kenny, they didn't know how to pitch the tent either, but I believe actually they were the first ones to finish. Steve?
Yeah, look that way.
Right. So go them. Poor Jenna and Mandy. Poor Jenna and Mandy. Jenna, I feel like Jenna just wanted to quit right there. As soon as like the top of the tent was like broken inwards, she was just like, whatever, this is just pissing me off right now. Like at that point, I would think I would have been done with it as well. Especially having food poisoning the night before. It's like, you're just going to get sicker. You're not winning.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're doing this challenge all for nothing because you're in last place. You're not going to make it and you're just exhausted at that point.
And not only that, but Steve, have they ever disqualified somebody because you didn't make it to a checkpoint in time? I don't think I've ever seen that in the challenge.
I don't think they have, since it's always been like just one day. So there's never really been a problem like nightfall or anything along those lines. So that's probably a first. But getting back to them setting up the tent, I liked when like the other teams would do it. It would say like compass not open. Like they'll show you the picture and tell you what's wrong, pots and pans or whatever. For Jen and Mandy, it's just everything's wrong. So they didn't do one thing correct. It was just a complete screw up on all sides for them. I just kind of laugh at that.
Well, that and the fact that you really finished it. First of all, like if we're looking at the tent right now on screen, The entire front of the tent wasn't even popped up, and they were like, "We're done. We're finished." Like, you know that's not right. Why are you even going to attempt this? Like, they're going to let you through.
Yeah.
So, and I also thought it was smart of Kenny and Wes to break up their campsite so no one else could look at it. I thought that was smart.
That was tactical.
Yes.
Very tactical.
Next, we came along to the final feast. This was different for MTV, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, that was rough. You know, everyone.
That was just dirty. Like, that was disgusting. I mean, you know they're starving, and then to force feed them and then make them climb up a mountain. I mean,
Another haha.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw Final Feast, I thought it was going to be something like Fear Factor, and they were going to have to eat like cow balls.
I was waiting for that.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
I was waiting.
But
for that
I was
too.
also waiting for them to just finish eating it. Like, no, I didn't realize they were going to have to eat so much, but I was waiting for them to find out what they were eating was something else. But just to know you have to continuously eat this feast and stuff yourself. I mean, they were all just heaving it.
And you're dehydrated too.
They had no water.
Yeah,
I mean,
And it looks like they gave them water after the fact. Like, it was like, all right, we feel bad for you guys. We'll give you some water now.
Right.
But water fills you, correct? Like, if you're drinking water. I know they say
well, if you're
to
training,
lose weight.
if you're training pretty hard and you have like finished a workout, sometimes you're not really that hungry. You're just thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it does fill you. Like, most people confuse being hungry with being thirsty. So
Very good tip.
Good
These
tip.
guys should have.
chug a glass of water and then see if you're still hungry.
So if you were, I guess there's no really way to prepare for this type of a challenge, but in the sense of it, the night before, I know they were talking about they ate this big feast and whatever. The ideal thing to do would be probably just to drink loads of water the night before, I would assume. I don't know, would that be helpful in any sense of it?
I think
or?
that's what I would do instead of load up on food. Just drink water. Get hydrated.
And it would also keep your system clear,
yeah,
your stomach
especially
clear.
with the elevation. They're climbing a mountain. You know, you're
I didn't
burning.
even take that into effect.
When
like,
you're climbing, you're burning calories at a higher rate because of the altitude. That's why a lot of climbers do the trail mix. That's why they call it trail mix, because it's like, nuts and fruit, dried fruit are very high in calories, but they're also good for energy. So that's probably, the purpose of that. That is the purpose of that. So, but you're also getting dehydrated with that altitude.
Right.
So
Another tip.
Yeah. Gee,
Wait.
I mean,
Keith, let me ask you this. You being an NFL man, did you guys ever have any rituals? Like for me, I used to play soccer, and before a game, we used to do Gatorade pong, which is basically like beer pong, but instead of beer, you use Gatorade. Did you guys have any type of ritual like that to hydrate yourself before a game?
Oh, you start talking about rituals. I start thinking about the hazing part.
oh boy,
we'll get to that in a
that's
special
another
segment.
show.
That'll be the special
That's why I
segment.
started smiling.
I know, I saw that.
But no, guys would just fill up on Gatorade, water, things like that. There wasn't really anything you could do for as a, extra hydration, I guess.
What about training camp when you were just overhydrated?
Overhydrated? You want to stay overhydrated so you wouldn't cramp up. We had guys that had to be rushed to the hospital because they cramped up so bad.
So cramping comes from the dehydration.
Dehydration, yeah. So they would hook them up to IVs. Some guys would take in 2-3 bags of IV. It's pretty rough. So.
All right, really random question. But here, they have all these different types of waters that you can drink and whatnot. So they have this thing called Smart Water. I'm sure you guys have heard of it.
Right.
Can you guys please give me the point of this? They have water, Gatorade, and Smart Water. Is there one
Are you talking about Smart Water like that Jennifer Aniston is the face
like
of?
the tall
Oh, okay.
bottle, and
Well,
it tells you like electrolytes.
Water is there's different brands of water, and the better ones are maybe Smart Water and Fiji as far as the pH balance. Some of the other bottled water could be just tap water in a bottle. It's better than tap water, but I think it's just branding.
Yeah.
I mean, water costs more than gasoline, so
Like as far as like the electrolytes and those type things being put into water.
I think you really just need to stay away from any kind of drinks with calories and marketers will do anything to make you buy something. So if it says it's slimming or gives you some sort of, I mean, most of Gatorade is actually from the Florida Gators because they're in a swamp and they need to be hydrated. And so it's like
the doctors created it from that.
They did, and it's like 100 calories for a thing, or 240 calories for one drink. I mean, for a girl even my size, I mean, I don't count calories, but like 2,000, 3,000 calories a day. One drink is like a meal.
Right.
So you got to think about. You don't need all that. I mean, you can go get like Emergency or. Something of that nature.
What I would recommend is just potassium pills or salt pills. That's what I would do.
Salt pills.
Yeah, salt pill. And we just had this one canister and it said salt pills, and it was basically just your potassium and salt mixed in. I guess it kept you, because the salt allows you to absorb more fluid.
Okay. Because it would cause
not
dehydration.
table salt though, like Himalayan crystal salt or like sea salt, something of that nature.
She's the expert over here. So obviously, just point for her for the clinical,
definition.
Well, table salt is horrible for you, so stay away from that.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, is it a pill with just salt in it?
Well, after a workout, I would recommend drinking a lot of water, Emergency, and then you can afford to eat some things that have higher sugar content after a workout because your metabolism is burning things at a higher rate. So you got to feed that. I mean, depending on what your goals are, and if you're trying to lose weight or trying to accomplish something, you might not want to do that, but you need to have fat in your body to burn fat. So, which is good fats, not like saturated and all the crap that you get in a McDonald's, that kind of fat. You don't want that. You want like avocado, nut, that kind of thing.
Clean foods.
All
right. So Rivals people.
Sorry, we're off on a tangent.
No. Next challenge. Like, let's listen to this podcast, and you guys got your tips here from these guys. So yeah, the final feast. They're sitting there. They're eating all this food. It's just like throw up heaven. Everyone's just vomiting everywhere. Wes gets fully dehydrated. I was cheering at that point. Bad on my side of it. The funniest part, if you guys remember who Cara Maria is, this girl actually right here. There was one point where she said, "Come on, you pussy." I love that because he's literally picked on this girl the whole season.
The whole time.
And for no reason, because she loves her pet horse and she loves her boyfriend. And he would dump Coke on her and just like humiliate her for no reason.
Like the soda pop?
Like a giant 2-liter of soda on her for no reason.
A guy did that to her?
Oh, he's like the biggest bully in the house.
Yeah.
So that's why when I say he at this point where he's dehydrated, I was cheering for him. Steve, did you catch Cara making that comment to him?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It was. I enjoyed that. Paul and Evelyn finished the feast first. I was actually really surprised by that because I kind of felt like Laura was going to beast it down. And then,
how can you continue to eat when everyone around you is throwing up? That's crazy.
That's
can
disgusting.
you imagine what the
can't even
smell
imagine.
was in there?
No,
that alone would make
I
me
can't.
just-
And if it was hot, like, no.
Yeah.
Like I have trouble running up Runyon Canyon with the dog. What do you call it?
Just smelling
Yeah,
the dog.
it's stinky sometimes. So like trying to eat. Oh,
And what I think really got them, like all the little pastries and stuff, you can kind of scarf that down easier than, like, it was
Big
literally a giant
chunk of meat.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
MTV was really clever this year, I gotta say.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Steve?
I was laughing, like Leroy puked up like an entire chunk of meat. Is like
And they showed it. They
covered
showed
like
it.
his fucking saliva. And he's like had this most disgusted look on his face. And it's like I like Leroy and everything, but I was just laughing my ass off.
What about
Like,
Mike too?
that
Mike
poor
had
bastard.
he had a facial expression. I was like, oh, he looks like he's in pain.
Mike had the best facial expression of this whole entire challenge. I mean, he looked like he was in physical pain, mental pain.
Yes.
I don't even know what other kinds of pains you could have. It looked like he was literally having a baby,
They
pushing it
showed
out. And they showed that. And actually, Leroy really surprised me because I really thought Leroy was going to eat that whole table for Mike. Because usually, Mike's the brains and Leroy's, the body. Yeah. So with this situation, I thought, well, this is where Leroy and Mike are going to catch up because Leroy is always known to just eat house out of home. So I thought he was going to go through with this challenge, and he's really in shape and always on the whole workout tip. So I figured he would be able to kind of deal with that. And as we see, actually looking at it now, he has the entire steak in front of him.
Yeah. But you know what? You were talking about Kenny, I guess, earlier. I mean, you kind of have to like the guy. He's a competitive person.
Kenny
West's partner.
Well, okay, now I was kind of saving it for the end.
A little bit.
Yeah, I did too, to be honest with you.
But the thing you got to know about them, and I think Steve will jump in on this, I was actually going to say it, but let's get into it. Kenny has been the weakest link this entire challenge. He's not been able to carry his weight at all.
I heard him say that.
He's lost many of the challenges for West. They've always had to go in, basically every day you would have a challenge, and then whoever loses the challenge has to go into the jungle. Wow. And that's like the nightly challenge, and then if you lose the jungle, you get kicked off. So Kenny was losing all the challenges, getting disqualified, and they kept having to go into the jungle, or they would have to send... They basically have only made it this far because they're popular in the house, so they didn't get the votes. So it was.
He's so cute.
Mike,
with
right?
his little
Just
sunburn.
poor little kid.
Look at this face right there. That was awful.
Oh, it just looks like I want to hug him.
It really did. As much as it would stink right there, I just wanted to give the kid a pat on the back, like I feel you.
And Johnny and Tyler, they seem like they had just the perfect relationship, chemistry, and everything.
And I got to give Steve credit on the line. Steve, from the beginning, has said, I think they're going to make it all the way because even though they hated each other, they've been a really good balance as far as teamwork. They're there for the money. They're there to win. And I mean that's what MTV was basically hoping these guys were going to get from this. Yeah, we hate each other, but we have to put that stuff aside and, carry on. And even though you hate somebody, you still got to carry on, as we see right here, Kenny and Wes.
This is my favorite scene, part of the show right here, when he puts him on his back.
Yeah.
You tell me his background of losing all the other challenges, but I'm like, who is this guy?
He really stepped up to do that.
And was talking about it, talking noise. I kind of like that. I was like, the
that
Jets need to sign this
reminds me
guy.
of somebody.
I was like, they should sign him. Put him on special teams and see him play.
No, you actually would have really loved CT. He just got kicked off last episode, and he got kicked off just because his teammate had made a little slip up. But CT is literally would have carried his partner through this entire challenge just to get there faster.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's physically what he is just incredible, like monstrous.
You got to be somewhat of a beast to do this.
Yeah,
I mean, I could honestly, like, I wouldn't really want to do it, but I could do it. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's just one of those things, like, you got to just have that mindset and take it. Yeah.
I mean...
She has that too. I've hiked with her before.
Oh, really?
I don't recommend it.
I met her back at the parking lot.
It was rough.
It was rough.
That was what, our first date?
Yeah, our first dates.
There's no final feast, nauseating, those types of situations. Yeah, so poor Mike throughout that. They were actually the last ones to finish that. And that's where we saw Jen and Mandy got DQ'd.
Right.
Poor guys. Don't know what to say to you. Wah, wah. Yeah. Jen and Mandy are probably gonna put my foot in my mouth for saying this. We're the whores of the house.
Wow, we missed those scenes.
Yes, you missed those scenes. Mandy, can't really hate on her too much. She just, did her thing. She was kind of well, actually, she wasn't a weak competitor this season she was, but in the past she hasn't been. But Jen, I kind of have a little chip on my shoulder because she was mentally playing one of the other guys in the house.
Oh.
And then talking trash and whatnot throughout the season, but then still hooking up with him
Oh, wow.
Just trying to cover her back to make her look like the better person. So that's where my little mental beef with Jenna is, so she can get DQ'd. So now MTV throws the stick in the bike wheel with this. Basically, they come to a standpoint where they think, hey, we're ahead, and MTV says, no, why don't you guys all catch up with each other? Yeah. So basically, they have to, one teammate has to stand on a rock while the other teammate sleeps. If the teammate falls off the rock, he has to wake the other teammate up, and then they have to stand on the rock. So it was kind of obvious with the people who chose to stay up. Leroy, Kenny, Johnny, and Evelyn. I was surprised Kara was the first to stand up because Laurel's actually, the better competitor. Steve, what did you think when you saw Kara being the first to?
I think it all depends on who needs the rest more, and since Laurel's more of the physical, force on the team, let her get some rest in early. So I don't know. I don't think it really matters. It seems like they switched off a decent amount of times.
They should.
I kind of saw Laurel kind of coasting more this episode here. I didn't really see her dominate like you guys.
I definitely agree with that. She normally is the fastest, the toughest, but I'll definitely give you that. I feel like Kara really kept up with Laurel.
But they didn't really know what the last thing was going to be, so it's your best competitor. I mean, you'll make sure they're rested up. So,
but I saw
overall, Kara definitely held her own.
But I saw Paula kind of take that dominant role. She started from the beginning. Her and Evelyn, they were kind of just getting it.
Well, and it's funny because Paula's the weaker competitor compared to Evelyn. Evelyn's usually really intense.
I guess everyone for the money, they'll step it up.
Well, the money, but for Paula, this was different because this is kind of going to be one of Paula. She's kind of up there in age, and this is going to be one of Paula's probably last challenges.
Okay. Fingers crossed.
And Paula adds a lot of drama to the show, which I'm sure they love, but it's just unnecessary drama that has kind of irked us. But with Paula, she had a point to prove this season because it was 7 challenges, right, Steve?
Yeah.
She's been in 7 challenges and never made it, never won, never even made it to the finals.
Get all that wisdom from the 7, I guess.
I mean, wisdom, and she needed to.
I mean, who would want to do this 7 times?
Right. Well, I mean, it's never been. This has really been the most intense challenge that they've had. But yeah, who would want to do this 7 times? But hey, if this is all you're doing for work, right?
Sure, it pays well for her. So
exactly.
Get some on TV, get some more bar gigs.
Yeah,
they don't care.
Did you say bar gigs?
Yeah, they do
they go hosting.
Okay. Yeah.
So Wes didn't get to sleep at all during this while Kenny was standing on the rock. He kept throwing up, and then Kenny is bickering with him because Kenny was up telling everybody how sick and how Wes can't compete any longer. Now, let's actually get back to when Kenny put Wes on his back.
Okay.
He said he had a muscle cramp, or what was...
It's like a golf ball growing out of the back of his leg.
You could literally see it popping out of his skin. Now, I know, Keith, early before we started the show, you've said that you've had to, literally endure things of that nature and still have to play football. So, I mean, the most intense thing I've ever had, you're just sitting there with your leg up for a little bit and just hurts so bad and you physically can't stretch your leg out. So I can imagine that, but, I mean, have you ever had your muscles, I guess, what were they, contracting? Is that what they were doing? Or that you have golf balls popping out of your skin?
I personally never experienced that, but I have experienced using my shoulders so much that I can't lift my hands or my arms. So I guess I could relate to that because that is a possibility.
And so what do you have to pull out of you? Is it more of a mental thing?
I mean, that's a straight mental thing. I mean, at that point, and I don't know how long these guys have been going, not only just in that episode, but for the previous weeks and things of that nature. But, I mean, I'm sure he was just kind of at his wit's end. So,
yes, he definitely was.
And again, in the worst part, I guess, not knowing, You don't know where the end is, so you're just going like unconsciously, just like it won't end. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, there's one thing that you can know when you're in a workout or a game that it's gonna end, and it's like, okay, 8 more minutes or whatever it is. It's gonna end. With this, they didn't know.
No.
Yeah.
And usually,
it could have went another day for all they.
I mean, when I was dancing competitively and you pull a hamstring on stage or something, you don't really feel it until you finish the dance, and then because your adrenaline is going. So I can only imagine for football players or any athletes, your adrenaline is just going at such a high speed. So when you stop is when the pain just floods in, but your brain doesn't let pain in with all that adrenaline. So for them, it's kind of a slower pace, and their adrenaline is like, I mean.
But even more so because they had to, sleep the whole night up there. So you kind of cool down, adrenaline settles, and then you got to go again. So I mean, this whole deal is just.
So that's when your body would feel like it's like, okay, I can finally shut down, and then it's like, nope, wake up.
Wake up.
Well,
gotta be rough.
Even with the sleeping, having not adequate enough rest is not good. Your body, when you're training, you need to take those rest times and let your body recuperate. And with not having the proper amount of rest, and you're not sure what's going to happen next, they probably didn't get the best night of sleep.
And you can't relax because
you can't relax.
Your nerves are just like, okay, what is it? What's next?
Yeah.
I believe they were up late, probably drinking and
Probably.
partying before the night before. So.
This show has a few different components to it, doesn't it?
It really does. So it's just really intense. Poor Mike stood up on the rock for 5 minutes and was done.
I thought Leroy was going to stay the whole night up there on the rock.
I did too. But I mean, as soon as you slip off, you have to wake your partner up. So I thought, Leroy's quote of the night, I could go for some mac and cheese right now.
That was fun. Where is he from? Where is he from?
Houston.
Oh.
Is he from is he from Texas? Yeah, he's from Texas.
Because I'm from Dallas, so I kind of recognize that little twang there. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
No, he's from Texas.
We got some good people in Texas.
You do. I gotta give you credit for that. Although I do gotta complain. You guys missed Jasmine. She was a little. Can we see her in the scene here? Maybe. Jasmine is from Houston or Dallas. Was she, Steve? Houston, right? Houston.
Okay, you get that. Houston.
Yeah, Houston. And she made it known that if you're from Houston and you mess with somebody from Houston, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
Houston's in the house. She would break mirrors. She just would go nuts and hit everything except who she was mad at.
Yeah.
But that's how they do it in Houston.
I'm used to that because I went to college with a lot of people from Houston.
Yep.
And all they would do is talk about how good Houston is. But everyone knows Dallas is a place to be.
I would assume. I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing. So yeah, that was my quote from Leroy for the night. I mean, you want mac and cheese after what you just ate. I can imagine your stomach cramps. MTV really got them with that. They wake up the next day, and then TJ comes out, the host of the show, and says, all right, so for the first part of the challenge, first part, I don't want to hear the word first. I don't want to hear the word second. I don't want to hear part. I want to just hear, what are we doing today? You're going to run up this mountain. When you get to the top of the mountain, you're going to search and rescue and find a key. I didn't get what he said. Was this an avalanche area of some sort? He used the word avalanche of some sort, which made me think danger. Also, last week we actually talked about MTV released what the contracts for these shows are. Oh. It's a 30-page document. The number one thing is, if you die, we are not at fault.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, if I'm signing something along that lines, I feel like, for entertainment purposes, you're going to create something, a death trap.
Yeah.
So, if any type of injury, sickness that you get from this, it's not our problem. You signed up to do this, not knowing what you're going to do, but you signed up for it.
And the competitors got to take this in consideration when you talk about that high up. I mean, it's a technical aspect to climb up these rocks. You fall, you could slide for a while.
Yeah.
You're that tired, you can slip twist an ankle, something of that nature, and you're stuck there.
Mike and Leroy, this is where I know, Steve, for you and me, we were kind of really let down. Mike couldn't go any further.
I thought Mike was going to suck it up just a bit.
I did.
Though.
I really thought he was going to.
I was looking for that.
I thought he was going to at least start it and then be like, I can't do it, bud. But TJ, though, the host, because he hates when people quit or any type of, just drop out. He'll yell at them, make them feel like an idiot. Yeah. For TJ to say, you know what, guys, I feel you, it was pretty intense because TJ never gives anybody slack like that. But I got to give them credit in the sense that they never made it to a jungle challenge. So they were really good competitors. They've came first, I think, twice.
And they were rookies too, right?
Rookies. Their first year doing this.
I'm sure they'll be back, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, Leroy literally... There was one challenge where Mike was hanging from a helicopter, and Leroy had to... out of the water, had to climb up a rope.
Wow.
And pull the eject thing, and Mike would fall down.
Wow.
Did it in 5 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Insane.
You got to roll that clip.
Insane. It was freaking
I want to
crazy.
see that. That's
literally 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to climb a rope?
Yeah.
Out of the water.
As the helicopter's flying.
Yeah, that's a whole different
wow.
But 5 seconds. I mean, I thought they fast forwarded it. He came on the line, told us no, it was literally that fast.
That's nuts. Hard to him.
Yes, absolutely. So all right, Evelyn and Paula get a 3-minute advantage. I think that's the whole thing where everyone got the advantage and Mike and Leroy were behind. I think that added to the fact of dude, I can't go any further than this. I'm done.
Right.
Steve, what you got going on over there? You making what you got going on over there? You making a health shake or something?
Wash your hands for a second.
Oh, there you go. So, good job, Mike Leroy, for that. You had a good run.
Good job.
So here we are, the final run. Everyone's looking for the key. Johnny and Tyler had the head start. They got the key first. They win. So you got that, Steve. You were correct. Johnny and Tyler pulled out. I have to give them credit because, like I told you guys earlier, Jenna and Tyler had food poisoning the night before. And where the doctor said, we don't think you guys should go on, both of them were like, no, we're champions. We're going to continue. We're going to do this. And they had to do that 300-yard dragging by the boat. Tyler was where everyone would fall off. Tyler held on the longest. Wow. So I got to give him credit. Anybody that can really put their mentality and push through, that's a champion to me. So
yeah, but these guys were just kind of in the zone the whole time. I mean, you didn't hear any kind of bickering. It was just a consistent, nonchalant, just in sync, just one line to the top, first place, things like that.
Everybody else was complaining like crazy.
Yeah.
They were complaining. You know who else I got to give credit to that didn't complain is Evelyn and Paula.
Yeah.
They were joking around when Paula said, I'm never going camping with you again.
Oh, yeah, they did.
And she said, I'm never going to buy you a steak again. So the fact that you can still have, some sort of humor at the end of this.
Yeah. Well, Jen and Mandy were one of them was like, I'm going to throw a tantrum. Da, 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 da.
Jenna. And that's what I was surprised because Mandy's usually the one to do that. But, Mandy really stepped it up as far as I'm concerned. Now, Kenny and Wes. They lost. Evelyn and Paula came in second place, and Cara Marie and Laurel came in third place. Kenny and Wes lost. Everyone thought Kenny and Wes were going to win because they're the alumni, and Wes is just walking around thinking he's just bigger than everybody else, and he's God, and everyone worship him. I did not like the way Kenny reacted at the end of this. He was cursing him out. You suck. You're a loser. You're whack. You're an asshole. I mean... Good job. You guys at least made it to the top of the freaking mountain at the end of everything. At the end of you didn't win money. You're on TV. At the end of everything, you finished this challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be... You didn't win money, so at least give yourself a damn pat on the back for that. Because mentally...
They won money. They got the $50,000.
I thought the fourth place didn't get anything.
No, the first first and second for men and women.
Yeah.
So like they finished second for the men.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So what was he complaining about?
I guess
It wasn't 100, it
he's
was only
that,
50.
He's like that Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
If you're not first, you're last. You know.
Well, I'm glad he, got that mentality in the last episode because
So I'm confused. Did they get 50 grand each, or did they have to split that
No,
between the
they
two?
split
They split that.
Oh wow. Then
Oh.
taxes.
yeah, that's all I'm thinking. I'm like,
Yeah.
100,000 at the end of this plus taxes taken out of that. Like, what did we
70
just
grand.
do?
Yeah.
Was that paying
They
for
better
the
be
meal?
getting their club promos out.
Well, luckily, Jersey Shore is selling. Everyone likes that, so he should have a gig.
Are they casting?
No, right. Because,
should have a
I
gig
want
for
that
that.
competition. Just drink a lot and fist pump. I want that type of competition rather than being pulled 400 yards or whatever. But
Wow.
all right. But so, yeah, that is it. That is the challenge. Congratulations to the winners.
Congrats.
Congratulations to everyone who at least tried and,
I mean, that's a huge
Accomplishment.
accomplishment.
That
And
is.
anybody, like even just that last mountain climb, that's huge. I did that as a group with a bunch of girls, and I remember somebody saying like, I did it. I got to the top, and it's like, no, we all did it.
Right.
It's an amazing accomplishment, but it's a group team effort. So.
And now I know you guys have had accomplishments within the entertainment industry, and but when we come back, I want to definitely talk to you guys. I want some more tips. I want some more advice. So I'm gonna pick your brains as far as I know you guys are big into yoga, and I want to hear some of your
You
experiences.
could say that.
I can say that.
I said you could say that.
We've explained that they are yoga gurus. Is that what we said before?
You said that.
I said everyone's.
It's 2011.
Okay.
You asked me about a yoga guru, and I'm like, we're all gurus.
All right, so when we come back from a commercial break, we're going to pick these guys' brains and get to know Keith and Amy a little better.
Want to find out what the AfterBuzz is about?
Janice is a drama queen.
This is the divide that is going to carry the series.
Give us a call. 424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
It's television, and they want it to be as dramatic as possible.
I mean, it's Shakespearean.
You never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Find out why AfterBuzz TV is the #1 source for after-show content.
Now, in the eyes of Jimmy, Nucky is a villain.
424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
I mean, who would you guys rather hear that from? Your husband or your best friend?
The wig will come out.
When the TV show is over, get your AfterBuzz on.
All right, so we are back in, as we said, crazy episode. I'm here in studio with former NFL player Keith Mitchell and Amy Lynn Grover. Mm-hmm. We're going to just stick with Amy Lynn for today. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself. Amy, let's start with you. What are you known for? What are you, some of your accomplishments within the industry been?
Well, I came from the modeling industry. I'm Canadian. I just moved
Where
to
in Canada?
Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved to LA 2.5 years ago to model and act, and I've done a lot of work with Playboy. I have a couple covers and various other magazines. I'm kind of into fitness modeling.
Have you always been into fitness, or when did you fall in love with
I've
being
always
active?
been a little bit of a tomboy. I was always into fitness. I danced competitively when I was a kid, up until I was like in mid-high school. And then I started practicing yoga as well as modeling. So I've never stopped being physically active. I'm a personal trainer and yoga instructor. So
When did you start getting into yoga?
I've been practicing yoga for about 16 years now.
Oh, wow.
Keith and I just finished our 300 hours this past summer.
300 hours?
Yeah.
Please explain this.
Well, 200 is your basic to become a
Is
teacher.
this like steady?
Certification.
Is a certification process. And then, you work your way up to 500. Some people don't ever get certified. Some people, you have a lifetime to do it. There's no you don't have to, but it's just something I wanted to accomplish. It's just a learning curve process of acquiring and questing for more information, and just it's an art. It's an art of healing. It's a
lifestyle.
It is, and you don't have to be like all spiritual and crazy about it.
Are you guys in that sense of it, or is it more fitness?
Well,
how you look at
there's
it?
a few different aspects. I think it's a lot more mental. I originally started practicing for the physical aspects and came across the mental and spiritual. When I practice or teach or share with people, I give them options. I don't push anything on anybody. It's like nutrition and religion. Everyone has an opinion, and there's no real right or wrong answer. It's just your way of doing it. And if I can help you enhance that, then I'd be happy to.
Right.
As far as, saying, well, this is the way I do it, this is the way
no one learns that way.
No one learns that way, and you won't benefit that way. I mean, and the biggest misconceptions about yoga is that, I'm not flexible, or, I'm not strong, or things of that nature. And it's really, it's an art, and it's an individual practice. So wherever you start is wherever you are, and you just start there. I mean, you don't see guys walking in the weight room that have never lifted a weight before and then try to lift like the hugest one on the floor. You just start, at a reasonable weight and move your way up. Same thing with yoga. You increase.
You don't know guys, do you?
Wow.
They hurt themselves in there.
You're gonna hurt yourself. And as far as flexibility goes, I mean, you gain flexibility, but you also gain strength and endurance and all the physical aspects. But you also start getting this clarity within your head, and being able to connect the mental with the physical is huge. And so a lot of athletes are starting to do this. A lot of actors are starting to do yoga, because it's not just physical and it's not just mental. So you need to be able to, it's an art of putting them together. And a lot of people have no clue and no connection between either one. So it's a great way to get in tune with yourself and get to know yourself.
I know a lot of people, as far as me, I've always wanted to meditate. My brain is always going 100 miles an hour, and everyone's like, yoga.
You drink a lot of coffee, don't you?
I actually don't drink any coffee.
Okay.
I can't stand it.
Okay.
And they're always pointing me to yoga, and I've never done yoga. I tried Pilates.
Very different.
So what is the difference between yoga and Pilates? Because, I mean, from me, from a naive standpoint, when I look at it, planking and the styles look similar, but so what I'm assuming is Pilates more physical and yoga is more of a mental.
No,
I believe it's an approach to it. I mean, yoga to me is concentrated breathing, merely. I mean, whether you're doing a Pilates activity or even in the weight room, pushing weights, it's just the conscious breathing.
Mm-hmm. It's movement with breath. So
yeah, as you push out, you give some back. Okay. That's the process. But our company, moving right along.
Moving along.
Our company.
Well, actually, before we get into your company, I want to actually talk to you about. Now, you were in the NFL for how many years?
8 years.
8 years, and I know you were with Jacksonville.
Yes, but I was mostly with the Saints.
The Saints. You started with the Saints, and then you finished with the Jacksonville.
We got to back up, though, because it all started.
Where are we going?
Texas A&M.
Texas.
Number 9 in the country, by the way. Number 9 in the country. We're taking over. We kind of had a slump the last 5-6 years, but we're back,
moving back up,
back to be a powerhouse again. So Texas A&M.
Now I'm assuming powerhouse when you were playing.
Exactly.
Of course.
Yes. So started Texas A&M, then we went to New Orleans Saints. I got picked up by Coach Ditka. Mike Ditka was my coach.
Now, how old were you when you got drafted to the NFL?
I was 21, 22, just turned 22.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was just a rude awakening coming, Mike Ditka, who I watched as a kid, coaching, Super Bowl teams, and I'm like, wow, I'm playing for this guy. Even to the point in my rookie season, I think I made my first sack on Steve Young, and I'm like, I think he's still on my wall back at home. So it was just, it's one of those things. It's just big time. It's a big deal, and I was fortunate to be a part of it.
Mentally, what was that like? Making the switch. I mean, obviously, when you're in love with the sport, when you're in love with anything, it's not a job. But moving into the NFL, it actually becomes your job. So
yes, it's a job.
But so what's the? But
there's no sick days.
There's no sick days. So what was that mentally preparing for that? Were you mentally prepared? Can you, like this challenge? Like, is there a way to mentally prepare yourself for that, or is that something you learned along the lines? Like, I mean, just like you said, Steve Young. Like, how could you ever think about doing something to that extent?
Yeah, in a way, some people manage to kind of like learn how to coast through it, but playing linebacker, taking the hits every day, day in, day out. I mean, most of the guys I'm going against 6'6", 320 on a consistent basis. I got to go through them to get to the fast guy running the ball, who nowadays are just as big as I was at 255. So when you're going through that process day in, day out, I mean, it becomes a drag a little bit.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I play for hardcore, old school coaches, Coach Ditka, Jim Haslett, Don Capers, people like that, Jack Del Rios with the Jaguars. Mm-hmm. So these guys did not believe in taking it easy on you, So we had to hit the whole time. So no days off, no sick days. Even when you're sick, you got to get out there.
Still got to push through.
I mean, think of it. You're okay. Starting for one is an accomplishment in itself, but then think of all the universities. You got all these guys interviewing day in, day out for your job. And as you get older, I mean, and they don't care if you're all pro status. Everyone's looking to, upgrade in all areas. So, I mean, it's very competitive. I kind of, even after I left the game, I tend to even notice myself still today. I'm so competitive in everything. I'm a sore loser. But, fortunately.
In everything.
Fortunately with yoga.
I was going to say, I wouldn't get there from meeting you.
But I've been working on it. It's a process.
So this is new.
Well, it's a procedure. You just kind of go through, I it's funny. We were in the class the other day, and maybe this will make sense. The teacher said, he used to smoke cigarettes, right? And he said, I haven't smoked in 30 years. But he said, every day I fight the temptation.
Yep.
So I guess it's one of those things. It's just, trial and error. You kind of.
It's a process.
You have good days. You have bad, so-called bad days.
You have a lot more good days than bad days.
Well, I'm working on it.
I was going to say.
And we met actually at teacher training.
Yeah, we did.
For
yoga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, with football, what was your training like? Were you ever... I mean, I know you said you're newer to yoga. Obviously, you don't have 15, 16 years under the belt. Right. So as far as your training before, do you wish that you had this while training, your experience with yoga?
Of course. And a lot of times mainly because the mental aspect. I wouldn't even just say mainly because even physical, just healing the body. I did a talk show earlier today, and, it was like the trauma of realizing, okay, I got to teach myself or motivate myself to run up against this brick wall day in, day out, knowing that brick wall is going nowhere. Mm-hmm. But I got to motivate myself or get myself amped up to go hit it as hard as I can. I mean, that's the aspect of playing the game.
I give you, look, I mean, I have a lot of friends who, are football players, and I personally wish I could get myself to the point. I see them all the time yelling and screaming and just acting, like building that energy. I wish I could get myself there. I'm just a little too calm.
Try doing a drill with him. He takes me to the park.
I thought you were the one that he can't do hikes with you.
I'm a long distance runner. I used to do track, but long distance.
But I put on the football field.
And he's like, why are you going to run for no reason? Catch the ball. And, I mean...
So it's a good yin and yang balance that you guys got going on.
You can say that,
Definitely.
All right, so how did you find yoga?
Well, I was in Jacksonville. We were playing the Buffalo Bills, I believe. I was going for just a random hit, something I've done 1,000 times. And just on this particular Sunday, you know, I hit the guy, and I think it was Travis Henry. He was a running back. I hit him, and then my body wouldn't respond after the hit. I'm on the ground on my back, and I'm saying, "Body, get up," but my body's like, "Nope, we're going nowhere." And
what were your thoughts in that? I mean, can you even remember?
Because
or is it more of a feeling.
I've never been in a situation like that. It was kind of like, this is embarrassing, you know, because so much pride, you know. I'd never been taken off a field before, and I was like, get me off this field. And they wouldn't move me. I was there for like 45 minutes because I had no movement in my body.
So was that thought overtaking the pain, I mean, you had no feeling of it, but that's what you were constant. I guess that's the champion in you of the competitiveness of you were more worried about not being on the field rather than like what has actually just happened to my body.
And that is a very interesting thing too, because you know, for the body that takes care of you, why would my mind not show compassion for the body? And that's a whole different topic, but those are things you kind of, for me, I started learning about myself when I started my practice with yoga. But nevertheless, next thing you know, I'm hauled off into, you know, the ambulance. My mother's in the ambulance with me, and we're off in the hospital.
Your mother was at the game?
At the game,
oh, poor mother.
Yeah. And my sister, actually. But, you know, it's just that was a whole learning experience for me.
And now how many years back was that?
It was about 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I know you were telling me it took you how many months before you could actually gain feeling?
It took me about 6 months to regain feeling, and about probably 2 years when I got myself kind of back to somewhat normal. Because what happens is when your body takes on a trauma like that from a spinal injury, your body kind of just protects itself. It goes into a whole protective mechanism, and you're just like tight. I don't know. It's just the doctors were explaining this to me. I don't know the.
But the doctors knew that you would eventually.
Well, no one told me anything. You know, I think I was laying there thinking like, wow, would I play again, or when can I play again? You know, things like that. I don't think my mind wasn't on like, wow, we got to get my body back together. You know, my notion was, okay, I got to play. When can I play? How long am I going to be out, you know? Because another thing, I had never sustained an injury, you know?
So when did the mentality of I need to learn how to heal my body come into play versus the competitiveness part?
Well, when you have, and like this is probably another reason why it's hard for you to sit and meditate, when you have to sit there with yourself and deal with yourself.
Yes.
And you have no other option. So that's when you come into that understanding, okay, what is it? What's really going on? What's the big picture here? You know? And I think those things like that opened my eyes to a lot of different things. It opened my eyes to life, just period. It was just a whole, you know, life-changing experience.
What was your first thought as far as, like, what was your first body part that you could feel or move? Like, do you remember?
It was funny because, you know, I started getting feeling like from my hands up. It was like I had feeling on my right side, but my left side was still numb.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of like just slowly but surely just kind of started coming back.
All right. Now, you guys said you met at training camp?
Yoga training. Yeah.
So how did you guys both get involved with going to this training camp or whatnot?
You want me to start, or you?
You can start, yeah. Go for it.
Well, you know, I started my journey. I started doing, you know, what is this yoga thing and how is it affecting my life? I was like, I want to go deeper. I was like, maybe I'll go to India. You know, I was thinking India. Then I was like, what's this place here? White Lotus, you know, in Santa Barbara. So it's closer than India. I said, what if I get to India and I got to be there for a month and I don't like it?
Right.
It's so far to come back. Like, I didn't sign up for this one, but I figure if I go to California, you know, hey, if I don't like it, I end up in LA or something, you know?
Where were you coming from?
Texas.
You were,
yeah, I
you
was
got
in
back
Texas.
to
My home base was in Texas. Okay. So I chose LA. I chose Santa Barbara. And beforehand, this is interesting. I showed Amy this clip. I had an idea to document the whole thing by video.
Nuts.
And I was like, I figured I'm going to go to LA to hang out a couple days before I go off to, teacher training for about 16 days to a month and just, get the partying out of my system, so to speak. But I had these jitters. I'm like, man, I have a feeling I'm going to meet somebody, it's going to just turn my world upside down. And I even videotaped this. I was so nervous. And then I come there, and then I even show up late.
Were you big into the whole, I'm in the NFL, I go out, I can party, I can go out and, I mean, I know you said you were big into the image portion of it.
Right.
But did you, because I know there's two different types of athletes that I've seen and met. There are some that they play that card of, we're in the VIP section when I want to be in the VIP section and I'm out partying. Or then there's other ones that literally take it, like how you're explaining your ex-coaches, like, nope, I'm just about the game, or did you have a balance of both of that?
Well, I think I can easily say I was actually at that point transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming out of that phase, whatever that phase was, because you go in different phases as your career gets, you get deeper into your career, which is a very key point when you talk about these characters. I call them characters. And one thing my coach told me a long time ago, he's like, this thing is like a light switch. You can't turn it on and off. It has to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to perform at those levels, you can't have down times. So you have to be on 24/7 for whatever that is. Like, you take guys like, I saw Deion Sanders' speech he gave at the Hall of Fame, things like that. And he spoke on these things. And I have been telling people the whole time, people are in character forms, but then I'm off topic though.
No, but that's exactly what you're saying can be related to anything you do in life.
Yeah, it's true. But people get into these forms, and what was tricky, they can't get out. And then they create these other characters. Okay, I'm a character here with my family. I'm a character here with my girlfriend or wife.
It's so crazy you're talking about. I was having a conversation with a friend earlier about...
Can I just say something, though? How you are over here is how you are over here. You create these different characters and everything, but how you handle things and how you react and take on these things is basically the same, whether it be sitting in traffic, fighting with your girlfriend, or... at the grocery store, how you treat people, it's all the same. So your practice of what you do is your practice because, whatever you do on a repetitive basis, to create a new practice, you have to do something completely different. So if you want something to change in your life or you want something different, you can't expect to keep doing the same things over and over again. So when Keith is talking about his coming to understanding of his body and it's a whole new practice, Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's fine. That's great. And on top of those things, we can show you how to get the 6-pack abs. We can show you how to do all those things. But I think the key element to this, or that you will see eventually, is the things that we're talking about. This is a process. Amy's been in yoga. We're practicing yoga for 15 years. I've been practicing for about 5 or 6. So, and we're even coming to our transition. Amy's coming to her transition after, that long. So, it's just...
you say transition.
Well, it's a process.
It's a process.
You come to different... you come to different things at different points in your life, and with the practice of yoga, you can help evolve in not necessarily create a form, but you can kind of use that as a foundation, if you will. And not to say that, there's all different kinds of yogis, people that are really hippie, people that are, there's a whole yoga scene. You talk about a club scene, talk about the yoga scene. Yeah. But it's just coming to yourself and really getting to know yourself. And you don't have to do that. You can just practice and get a 6-pack, or you can, And to be honest with you, when I first started practicing, it was all about the physical. Yeah. And when it just kind of a light bulb went off and things started happening for me, and I started putting things together, and it was really cool. Mm-hmm. And as you grow, your body starts to basically fall apart. So with yoga, I mean, I see this in a lot of people, especially older people. They look amazing. And I see people that don't, I mean, I'm talking about practicing yoga. There's older people that work out and they don't look so good. And then there's people like some of my gurus are, I mean, they're not, I wouldn't say that old, but they're like coming 60s, up on their 70s. 60s. And they look amazing.
And the things that they're able to do.
Oh, like they can, they're standing on their head, they're doing handstands. Like what 70-year-old is doing a headstand?
Exactly.
Please tell me that doesn't have a wrinkle, that can hike and jog and do all these things. It's like you want to be, I mean, everyone wants to look good. Right. Hands down. I mean, what person doesn't want to look good in a bikini or whatever? That's great. But can you actually feel good, and can you actually have that health? Yeah, it's a health thing. And I mean, whether or not you have kids or grandkids, you want to be able to, or if your sister or brother has kids, you want to be able to hang out with them and run around. And, you know, you don't want to have, you know, your big tire around you that's slowing you down. And on top of that, you just, you know, for your own longevity purposes, yoga is just, it can facilitate so many different things for you.
And I suggest you start your practice in moderation. Like you were talking about a few minutes ago, well, you're wanting to get into meditation. Mm-hmm. Within the first notion of us, we tend to think, okay, well, I need to schedule about an hour to meditate. Well, no, let's crawl before we walk. Let's start with a minute, 5 minutes.
Yeah, start with a minute.
As your practice gets stronger, then add gradually, you know?
And there's no right or wrong way of doing it.
Okay, I'm going to do an hour, and then you don't accomplish it. Then you're like, okay, this is too much for me.
Yep, well, that's my boat. That's the boat I'm floating
in. But people are like, okay, well, how do I meditate?
Well, and that's what, like, because I always sit there and I meditate. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to be doing?
You're supposed to sit there with your right over your left, and then you put your hands like this, and then you go, no. What you do is nothing.
Like nothing. Like,
I mean, it could be on your back. You could sit in a comfortable position. You could do. You could play music. You could not play music. You could be outdoors, indoors. You could be on your bed, on the floor, on a rock. As long as you're not in your car, so that, you know, sometimes you incorporate breathing with meditation, and they recommend not being on a cliff or in your car because you could have an accident and fall or crash into somebody. Okay. That just because you can
challenges.
Well, you never know. You could just get so into it that all of a sudden you're like, you know. So it's better that you're not operating machinery or in a place where you could fall.
Yeah, just a quiet place, you know, just quiet, silence, and just breathe.
Just breathe and
realize so much energy. Realize clarity. Realize when you get back into your day, realize how you handle situations. You're not so sporadic. You kind of just take your time and you do things. And when you know, that's the power of, you know, what we have here. It's kind of like, you know, earlier I wanted to mention, it's like that new device that you get, you know. The more you practice, when you first get it, you're kind of like, okay, I can do this, I can do that, okay. Then you get on it for a couple more months, then you know all these different things about it.
It's like switching from a BlackBerry to an iPhone. It's like you get confused, but
it's the same with our bodies. As we learn to use these things that we have, then we can explore so many different possibilities, you know, and create these things.
So, what have you guys created as far as now? I know you have a new company that you just launched.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
It's called Kula Divai. It's spelled with a K. It's a Sanskrit word.
Let's spell that out.
Kula, so like Kula, and then Divai, Devi, and you can check out our website, kuladivai.com.
We're on Facebook as well.
And we're on Twitter. And we're on YouTube.
Like them, follow them, watch them.
Watch us.
Check us out. Come practice with us.
Come practice with us.
We actually have a retreat going on in September 15th that weekend.
Yeah, 15th through 18th in Santa Barbara. We still have a couple of spots left. If
That
anyone's
information is on our site
yeah.
as well.
We're doing one in Toronto in November. And then we're going to take a small select group to Thailand for New Year's.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Changing it up, you know. How many times can you go New Year's party to, you know, you wake up the next day, okay, exhausted.
You make your resolution.
You never end up doing
Well,
it.
instead of spending Christmas holidays stuffing your face, getting overweight with all that, I mean, we're not going away till a couple days after Christmas. But that being said, you know, you're going to work out, feel good, practice yoga, be on the beach.
Be in an exotic place.
Best way to start a resolution.
With some people
some
who are
good
interested
people.
in learning more. And I tell the guys all the time, if on a superficial level, you know, mostly women practice yoga. I mean, good looking women practice yoga. You need to come practice yoga.
You heard it here first, guys. It's an exclusive. Good looking women practice yoga. So what type of training could we expect working with you guys, or is it all different?
Well, I mean, we do a vigorous practice and we do a restorative practice. We also work with people that have never done yoga before. Most of my clients have never done yoga before, and they're all doing amazing things. It's part of the you got to start somewhere.
And it's your personal practice. Like
Yeah.
you'll have an advanced student over here.
Right beside someone who's never done it before.
And there's ways you can modify your practice. So, you know, because it's a personal thing. If you're not able to stand on your head, there's a modification for that. You can lean against the wall. Or you don't even have to do that. You could be in a resting pose, just breathing.
Yeah.
We kind of teach all these things, because people, their first notion is like, wow, I don't know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we work with everyone.
You just have to, you know, you figure it out as you go. I still learn things. I have this like moment. I'm like, oh, I can do that. And it's great because it's like every day, it's like being childlike again. You can do all these things that you used to do when you were a kid. You used to flop around on the floor and go and dive into your tent that you made. And, you know, so being an adult and being able to do some of the things that we're able to do is just, it's fun. I mean, I'm standing on my hands and my feet are almost touching my head.
So is that
Cool.
where you get the aspect of looking at the challenge, you know, tonight, and you say, I could do that. I want to do that.
Yeah, kind of.
She's just a competitive person in that
I'm
sense.
a little competitive, but I really like a challenge.
I mean, to me, this is more challenging yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
I
more
push
so than-
myself on all kinds of different things, but I think yoga, I've really come to learn myself and learn to just listen to my body, because some days I really do want a good workout, and some days I just want to go to my mat, because that's a place of non-judgment. It's a place where I can go and just do my thing, and no one's looking at. Well, I mean, people look at you, but it's like
you don't care.
You don't care. You're in your moment. Whereas, like, if you go and do something else, whether it's in the gym or wherever, people, you know, there's always a little bit of judgment. But from a modeling standpoint, it's great to like streamline your muscles. So that's why I was doing it, because I wasn't getting bulky from it. And just practicing, I started coming to all these different understandings where I was out there getting judged and picked or not picked, and, you know, based on things that were out of my control. And being on my yoga mat really centered me and grounded me to know that, you know, it's okay, you know, and it was in my control to be there and do those things. And you just you get to an understanding with your own self, and
it's an empowerment, and I guess that's why in our name of our company, Divide, is the empowerment of the God and Goddess that's in each and every one of us, you know.
And then the cooler part means family. So we feel that working with a group in a retreat situation is more impactful than just doing a yoga class, because it's like a soup that we're all just kind of boiling in and marinating in over a weekend or a week-long time, and we can talk and we can everyone's there for the same reason. You can go spend time alone, or you can meet a whole group of new people, or you can come with a friend. And it's just getting to know yourself again. You basically just get your cup filled up. You eat really, really clean and healthily.
We bring a chef in that cooks, prepares all
So you
the
don't have to
meals.
worry about any of that. It's basically you just
accommodations included.
Yeah, you eat and sleep and you rest and you get rejuvenated. You kind of get fit just by default of being there. And
let me ask you this. So this is over the holiday. Is this a great thing to send your girlfriend off to get rid of her for a week or so?
Okay, so we just have to warn.
I'll take him. Give him to me.
Phil comes with a disclaimer. He's been trying to ship this girl off. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, you know what? Actually, it's a place that you can come with your girlfriend. And actually get to know her a lot better than you do already.
No computers, no technological devices.
Break away.
Well, I mean, you could.
Because I know there's some places where they no phones are allowed, no computers.
We just ask that people be respectful because there's people that don't want to have that. So if you come and you need to check your phone, then you can go do a couple steps away from everybody else so that they don't get disrupted by your technology. But I mean, it's pretty easy going. You can come and not even do yoga if you don't want to. Yeah. I mean, you could just come and do the retreat. It's a great time to just reflect and rejuvenate.
We have hiking. We create other things like boot camps. In some places we'll have a gym, that we can incorporate different things. To create your comfort level, give you a comfort level anyway.
I get the girls' booty kind of rocking. I like to do the ballet booty
I was going to say, girls, so if you want to
Oh, no! That came out wrong.
Guys, y'all can come watch.
The girls get the booty rocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there, I know we were talking about music earlier. What type of music do you guys like as far as meditation-wise? Is there anything on the radio? Can you listen to any type of music or?
Oh yeah, we bump some hip hop in there. Yeah. We change it up. When it comes down to the last pose is a meditative pose, shavasana. Then we kind of zen it out with the music. But as we're getting it with the music as well. We're bumping, and she likes the club music.
I love the house music.
I'm sold.
I love house music. But I feel as though you got to do a little bit of everything. I love rock and roll too, so putting on a little Rolling Stones too.
And it takes you through that journey.
Yeah,
as well.
it's a journey, and we mix it up. And I think there's times when, it's not serious. It's it's fun. But there's times when you can take it more seriously than others.
But it's challenging.
It's
challenging. And the thing about it, your body, at the end of it, your body will tell you that this is good for you. I don't have to come here and say, this is good. You will know from the experience how you feel inside. Mm-hmm. That'll give you everything you need.
It emanates out of you. Yeah. And then you're like, wow, okay, I get it.
All right, guys, so I need another AfterBuzz exclusive. You heard it here first. Definitely check them out. So other than
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
So other than this, company you guys have going on, anything else you got work? Are you still dancing? Are you still modeling? Or have you guys really focused putting? I mean, I know how hard it is to start a company, so I'm sure this takes up a lot of your time as far as.
Yeah, we do have a charity. We have a charity called Light 'Em Up, and basically we have a liking to the human trafficking.
Okay.
We support those different groups around, and we actually lately we've been taking a group and practicing in the parks, in the local parks in LA.
We just did.
We have pictures of those events on our site as well.
Yeah, we did a class for the LA Youth Network. A group of kids, mostly between the ages of 14 and 18, and it was pretty cool to share it with them because yoga is a healing art. So for people that really need to heal from whatever they're going through, or on an ongoing basis, it can really give you the support on so many different levels. But we have a few projects we're working on individually. As well as our yoga company. I train privately in LA, yoga and personal training, nutrition, and we're also...
Where are you guys located as far as... I know you said come work with us. So as far
Well,
as
at our retreats, but
Oh, okay.
you can get in touch with us on our website. We both
And let's spell the website one more time.
KULADEVI
All right.
.com. And we're on Twitter and everything.
All the social.
All those ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I could literally sit out here and talk to you guys for
Aw,
hours.
thank
now.
you.
for having us.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Absolutely.
One more time, the website. One more time, because it
One
is a
more time.
tough one.
KULADEV as in Victor I
.com.
.com.
Correct.
Excellent.
Think
And-
of like Kula.
Cooler.
Like we're
That's
Kula.
the easy part.
We're
I can keep-
Hula.
I can
We're
keep saying
Kula.
K-U-L-A.
There you
And
go.
Divine.
well, people want to say Devi. It's Devi because it's a god or goddess
But
or
however you
divine.
want it
Like
called.
divine.
However you want it. As long
Whatever
as
you
Long
want
as
to
you
say.
call- and you call it.
Call me.
All right. So
All right. Well, I have you guys requested the Leroy helicopter scene, so we have that queued up for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
5
Right
seconds.
Yeah.
Literally climb this thing. This is us waiting for the clip right now.
I give you mad props. You got
We got the new guys, Mike and Leroy. Let's go.
Leroy has huge arms, and he hopefully will be able to climb up this rope really, really fast, because if we don't come in first today, then we're definitely going into the next elimination round. Okay, Leroy.
Wow.
Oh.
You got it?
Oh, I'm sorry. 7 seconds.
Wow. So impressive.
Wow.
Like everybody else is being dragged by the water and slipping down and
Yeah.
having to climb it again.
Yeah.
Non-stop, just one hand
Yeah,
above
that's
the other.
nice.
So
How big is that guy?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna actually we'll have him
I
in
think you're
studio
bigger,
next week.
baby.
Little trivia
I
point.
would say I do think you are bigger than him.
I mean, he's look like a big guy.
No, from what I've
He thinks he's
heard.
small. Just
I used
All right, well, 5'6" over here, so let's not make me feel any worse than I already do right now. So that's all right. I'm gonna get my yoga on.
Come on with it.
Yeah,
Come
I'm
on.
going to. So let's get into predictions. Steve, I hope you're on the line.
And now, your after
Steve is over there zenning out.
Nice.
All right, so I mean it's the end, so really nothing to predict here. But let's talk about the drama because we had no drama this episode. Kind of disappointed because I love me some drama. I do. What do we think we're going to see with the reunion next week? I know we saw some tweets from Maria, Leroy, and I saw some from CT. Who do we think's bringing the heat next week? I heard Maria. Rumor has it from what Maria posted on Twitter is that she kind of wasn't upset with Laurel this year. Steve, what do you got?
I don't know who's going to be this time around. Those things are just random when they happen. Like whoever has the drama over the course of the year, the season rather, will just be on there. So probably like Paula, Laurel, that kind of crap.
Yeah, Paul and Laurel. I think they're going to give us the best show next week. Paul and Laurel have a lot of drama within themselves. And I'm really hoping Wes and Kenny are going to give us a show because this ended really badly for them. And I really hope, I have yet to talk to Maria about it. She's so busy. But I really hope Maria goes hard into Wes for picking on everybody the way he did, reacting. There were a lot of after shows that we saw in which he was not the guy that he was, pouring soda on her and all that. After the fact, he was quiet, denied a lot of things, and apologized. So hopefully we can get some of that. And Kenny, I don't know where this came from, but you were a monster this last episode.
It seems kind of forced to me. I don't know. I don't believe either one of those people.
It's
just like phony individuals.
Yeah, I felt the phoniness as well. It was just really out of character for him this season. But I'm excited because I love me a good throwdown, and I think you're going to get that next week. So again, Keith, Amy, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Hopefully you guys can come through another time.
Love to.
Steve, buddy, you and I. Next week we're going to have Leroy in studio, and hopefully a couple other surprise guests. We won't mention anything, but we're going to see what we can do for next week. So until then, guys, peace out.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janedy, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you
later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.